I am the Regional Director of Central Texas for Unbound now, which is an anti-trafficking organization. First of all, I just want to say thank you so much for letting me be here. I feel very privileged to be here. Our Austin office is pretty new. We've been in here for about 3 years. We're in 46 counties with about 9 different offices, but Austin is kind of our newest baby, and it has been a joy to work here for sure. I think the biggest question that I always get is human trafficking happening here? They always ask, it's a border issue. What about the white vans that kidnap the kids and traffic? And I always have to kind of diffuse that a little bit to let them know it is happening right here. And just to give some context, in Austin this year, our advocates, we have a team of advocates, which are full-time staff who come from mostly social work backgrounds. They're very highly trained. They served over 160 survivors, we call them survivors, this year, and answered our crisis response line, which is a 24/7 crisis response line, over 500 times. They provided over 12,000 services to survivors this year, and so they have been so busy. And so I want to just tell you a little bit about how we do that, why we do that. Unbound now serves to truly end human trafficking. That sounds so great and so big, but we know with other people, and that's one of our biggest things, is making sure we have others around us who are helping us do this. Our mission is to serve survivors and to resource communities to end human trafficking, and we do that 3 ways. The first way is survivor services. That is our bread and butter. That's why we started, because we were seeing kids who were exploited and who were 13 years old and who were being sold for sex. And the thing I think that is most interesting for people to hear is that many of the kids that we work with, the teens that we work with, are trafficked by their families. Familial trafficking or someone very close to them, which is a whole nother trauma. When someone the closest to you, when your parent, like the parent is supposed to be the safe place, when they're the ones that are trafficking you. And so, you know, the numbers are great. The 168 that we've served just in the Austin area are teenagers, they're kids. We had a kid as young as 10 a couple weeks ago to ages 60. And so it runs the gamut. We work with kids to adults, and all those numbers are a face of a daughter, a son, a sister, a mother, all the people that when you meet them, they truly change your life, and I have been changed by so many of them. So our first line of effort, survivor services, with that is our 24/7 crisis line, and our advocates are working on crisis, so we will get a call at 3 o'clock in the morning to go with law enforcement in a trafficking situation where literally they're pulling them out of a very unsafe situation, and our advocates are there. A lot of times, law enforcement can be scary to those who are victims, and so bringing us alongside to say, hey, we're a neutral party, we are here to serve and help you. We many times go and take them to the hospital or accompany them to the hospital where they'll get their SANE exam, which is a rape exam, and stay with them for hours. Just this week, I talked with the advocate actually today. She came in very tired, and she had been on a 4-day crisis call in the hospital. And we're able to get them to safety, but it took a while, and it took a bunch of community partners to help with that. And so that is what they do in the crisis call, but we don't just help them in crisis, we then help them for the long haul. And so helping them, you know, get rehabbed if they need rehab, or residential care, or job, or court accompaniment. Many times we're trying to make sure that their trafficker gets the justice that they deserve, and so we're working with the prosecutorial teams and making sure they're getting the support that they need until it goes to trial. And so that's what our survivor services do. Our advocates are amazing. I'm so proud of them. They are in the trenches every day, and it's amazing the work they do. Within that survivor services, we do have a home for girls ages 12 to 17. I can honestly say, if I have any gray hair, that is why I have gray hair. It's the hardest thing we've ever done, but it's the most amazing. You know, a lot of times people ask me, like, Christy, how do you do this work and not like go home just like completely depleted? And I have to say that we have such joy in our office because we have the honor and privilege of walking along a survivor and being able to bring hope when they need it. But I will say there was a time our house is called the Reagan, and we had a girl who came in and she was 13, and my daughter had just turned 13. And she walked in and she had the same shoes as my daughter, same Crocs, those ugly Crocs, the same Crocs, the same Squishmallow, you know, the same things she liked. And if you put them their lives together, they're very different. My daughter goes to a school that she loves. She goes to acro tumbling. She's with her friends. She's in a safe environment. This girl has been in 10 plus foster homes, has been in behavioral facilities, has tried to take her life because she's had no hope. And so we get to come in and be that hope for them and offer them trauma-informed schooling, therapy, all those different things. So that's our first lane of effort. Our second lane of effort is youth prevention. And so we are going in juvenile detention centers weekly. If you've ever been into a juvenile detention center, it's actually one of my favorite places. But I have to say the kids there, many of the kids have been, they've fallen through the cracks, and they've been the kids that people are like, they'll never make it. They're the forgotten kids. And so we want to make sure that we come in there and say, we see you, and then give them safety plans and make goals for their life. We have a girl right now who has been in and out of juvenile detention center for a while. We have this little firecracker lady who goes into early intervention, and she's like, we're gonna do this. And so she helped her get to school, and sometimes she'd knock on her door when she had her ankle bracelet on and said, you gotta get to school. And now she has a scholarship to softball for college. It'll be the first time that anyone from her family has gone to college. And so it's just that consistency. We have a lot of survivor leaders who have also been in the trafficking world, who come in and they totally understand what these kids are going through, and so they're able to work with them. We also do middle school and high school assemblies. The interesting thing about this is when we go into schools, we a lot of times have kids afterwards that will say, hey, this is happening to me. I just didn't know what it was called. Like, that is happening to me. And so then we get them, set up with their counselor, with law enforcement. I can't tell you how many stories that has come because of our assemblies. And then our last lane of effort, or third lane of effort, is outreach and training. So that's when we go into hospitals and healthcare facilities, and we actually have some online training that have CE credits. We want to make sure that we're training the community. We train law enforcement a lot, and then we have these task force that we bring together. It's one of my favorite parts of the job, is we bring together law enforcement, prosecutorial teams, advocacy groups, people like Dress for Success come in, whoever can come alongside and truly envelop our survivors with all the resources, because we can't do it alone. We need, the law enforcement to identify and to recover, and then we're there to serve, and then we need all these different people to kind of help them on their journey, whatever it is, because even after they're recovered, their life is still like this, trying to get it back on track. And so we're there just to provide, that hope and that healing. The grant that this would go for, and we'd be so honored to get it, would go to our survivor services. And truly that is all the things that we do for survivors, whether it be this week getting a plane ticket that was over $1,000, so someone could go home. They were trafficked here, and this is not where they live, and this is not, so to a different state where they have safe relatives. We've been able to get people in different rehab and different residential facilities. I think the thing, people ask me sometimes, like, what keeps you up at night? And I'm like, oh my gosh, what doesn't keep me up at night? We're in pyramid laws, so like all the things are keeping us up at night. But truly the thing that keep me up at night is if we have a crisis response and we don't have an advocate to go. Or if we have too many on a caseload, or we don't have the money to be able to provide them what they need at that time. Sometimes it's just basic needs when they're coming out of a situation: food, clothing, a safe space, a hotel that night before we can get them in some different spaces. And so that's what this would go towards, and it would help us do that and help us truly serve them the best way that we know how. I want to leave you just with a story a couple weeks ago, and we have these stories all the time, but this is the most recent. A couple weeks ago, we had an adult that came in, and she had been served by one of our advocates for the past couple years. And her story is pretty traumatic of just what she had to go through. She was in a situation where she literally could not get out and was forced to provide sexual services and literally could not leave the place. And so one of the things that she talked about was hope. And she said, one of the triggering words for me is when people would say, well, like, you can have hope that this will get better. And she's like, no, there's no hope for me. And she said, for years there was no hope. And I thought about it when I was driving home. I was like, man, I was like, even in the worst situations of grief with people who, died, or all of us have had tragic circumstances we usually have that hope, right? That it'll get better. Like there will be light at the end of the tunnel. This won't be forever. But for the survivors that we are with, hope is not even like in their vocabulary. It's a triggering word for them. It's an obnoxious word for them. It's a word that they don't understand because they've never had hope. They've never had hope that they can get out of some of these situations. And so it was just so lovely to hear her say, this is the first time that I can hope. This is the first time that I feel like a human being. And everyone should have that hope. Everyone should feel like that. And so that's the work that we get to do every day. I love it so much. We always say we love what we get to do. We hate that we have to do it. And so thank you so much for having me here. And thank you for just even the opportunity to be able to serve alongside you guys, these survivors. So thanks.